Did you know that one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men lived a life full of secrets that the industry worked hard to bury? Rock Hudson wasn't just a star. He was a mystery. Rock Hudson was the epitome of Hollywood charm, a heartthrob who defined an era with his striking looks and captivating performances. But behind the glamour of the silver screen, his life was a carefully crafted facade, hiding struggles that were too risky to reveal in a conservative industry. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden battles and shocking truths about Rock Hudson's life, secrets that Hollywood desperately tried to erase. Stick around, because you won't believe what was uncovered after his untimely death. Number 1. Rock Hudson's secret sexuality. Rock Hudson was the epitome of Hollywood charm, adored by fans around the world. But behind the glitz and glamour of his career, there was a secret, one so well hidden, even those closest to him had no idea. Hudson was gay in a time when homosexuality was heavily stigmatized, and his career relied on a carefully crafted image as the perfect leading man. But what really happened behind the scenes? Hudson lived with a constant fear that his true self would be exposed, risking everything he had worked for. His struggles were buried deep beneath the surface, and he was forced to live a lie. How did he manage to keep this secret for so long? The answer is more complicated and more heartbreaking than you might think. Number 2. The sham marriage. In an attempt to silence the whispers about his sexuality, Hudson found himself trapped in a marriage that was nothing more than a publicity stunt. In 1955, he was pressured into marrying actress Phyllis Gates, a relationship that Hollywood hoped would convince the world of his heterosexuality. But what really went on behind closed doors? The marriage was a sham from the start, lasting only 3 years, yet Hudson's personal life was still a mystery to the public. Was this sacrifice worth the price of fame? What came next in his journey might just shock you. Stay tuned for the next chapter in Hudson's life, one that changed everything. Number 3. Blackmail and extortion. Rock Hudson's life wasn't just plagued by the pressure to hide his sexuality. It was also shadowed by fear and extortion. For years, Hudson was blackmailed by individuals who threatened to expose his secret, causing him immense emotional distress. These threats weren't just personal, they also put his entire career in jeopardy. How could someone who had it all, fame, fortune, and adoration, live under the constant threat of exposure? The toll it took on his mental and financial well-being was devastating. His life was turned upside down as he fought to protect his career and private life from those who sought to take it all away. But what price did he pay to keep this secret? You won't believe what came next. Number 4. Drug addiction. Behind the Hollywood smiles and glamorous roles, Rock Hudson struggled with addiction, a battle he fought in silence. Alcohol and barbiturates became his escape, a way to cope with the weight of the life he was forced to lead. His addiction was a dark chapter that took its toll on his health, hastening his decline. The same man who once graced the big screen with elegance and grace was now facing his inner turmoil. How did someone so beloved spiral into such deep despair? The toll of years of substance abuse was undeniable, and little did anyone know that this struggle would lead to an even greater tragedy. What caused his ultimate downfall? The shocking truth will leave you speechless. Number 5. AIDS diagnosis and public disclosure. In 1985, Rock Hudson received a diagnosis that would change not just his life, but the way the world viewed the AIDS epidemic. He became one of the first major celebrities to publicly reveal that he was HIV positive, shocking both his fans and the media. But what really happened after he made his brave announcement? Hudson's public disclosure was a watershed moment in the fight against AIDS, helping to destigmatize the disease at a time when fear and misinformation were rampant. Yet the aftermath of his decision was far from easy. How did this powerful man, who once dominated the screen, handle the weight of public scrutiny and personal loss? The truth is more complex and heartbreaking than many could have ever imagined. Number 6. Lack of support from the film industry. Despite his courage in coming forward about his AIDS diagnosis, Hudson found little support from the very industry that had built him up. In fact, his revelation only deepened the discrimination he faced. Hollywood, which had once adored him, now turned its back on him. Roles became scarce, and Hudson found himself sidelined, not just because of his illness, but also because of the rampant ageism and homophobia in the industry. How could someone who had once been the golden boy of Hollywood be cast aside in his time of need? The industry's rejection of Hudson was a painful reminder of just how far he had fallen, and it wasn't just his health that was deteriorating. Stay tuned, because what came next would shock the world. Number 7. Financial struggles. As Rock Hudson's health continued to decline, so did his financial stability. Once one of the highest-paid stars in Hollywood, Hudson found himself in the grip of financial difficulties. With fewer acting roles and a weakened body, he was forced to sell his beloved home and lean on friends and family for support. How could someone who had once lived in luxury now face such dire circumstances? The man who had the world at his feet now found himself struggling to make ends meet. What drove Hudson to this point of desperation? The shocking truth lies in the hidden pressures he faced. Pressures that few could ever understand. Stay with us, because what happened next will leave you speechless. Number 8. Isolation and loneliness. Despite his fame and adoration, Rock Hudson's life was marked by profound loneliness. His public persona as the charming, heterosexual leading man came at a high cost. The pressure to maintain this facade meant he often found himself isolated from genuine connections. He had few close friends, and the friendships he did have were often shallow, driven more by his image than by true emotional bonds. How could someone so adored by millions feel so alone? Hudson's struggle with isolation was not just the result of his declining health. It was a direct consequence of the mask he was forced to wear for so many years. What did it feel like to live in such loneliness, with no one to truly understand him? The next chapter of his life reveals just how deep this isolation truly went. Number 9. Depression and anxiety. As Rock Hudson's health deteriorated and his career faltered, he found himself battling something even more insidious: depression and anxiety. The crushing weight of hiding his true sexuality, combined with years of substance abuse and the harsh realities of his fading fame, pushed Hudson into a dark place. But what really happened behind closed doors? Hudson sought treatment for his mental health struggles, hoping for some relief from the constant anxiety and despair. Yet, despite his best efforts, lasting peace seemed impossible to find. How could someone who had once been on top of the world feel so broken inside? The struggle to find a way out of this emotional turmoil is one of the most heartbreaking chapters in Hudson's life. What would be the final toll of these battles? You won't believe the next twist in his journey. Number 10. Missed opportunities. Throughout his life, Rock Hudson's career and public persona demanded sacrifices that left him with deep regrets. One of the biggest was the chance to live a fulfilling personal life. Hudson never had the opportunity to raise a family or enjoy the stable, loving romantic relationship that so many take for granted. Why? His career, combined with the constant need to hide his sexuality, meant he missed out on the things that truly mattered. The life he projected for the world was far from the one he secretly yearned for. Could Hudson have found happiness outside of Hollywood's spotlight? The answer is as tragic as it is telling. Keep watching to discover the untold truths about his sacrifices. Number 11. Lost potential. Rock Hudson was undeniably talented, with the ability to tackle a variety of roles, from romantic leads to dramatic performances. Yet, despite his versatility, his career was limited by the constraints of Hollywood's studio system and the image he was forced to uphold. What could Hudson have achieved if he had been free to explore his full potential as an actor? The truth is, his true artistry was stifled, held back by the very industry that made him a star. His opportunities to shine beyond his established role as the charming leading man were few and far between. How much more could he have accomplished if Hollywood hadn't forced him into a box? The answer to that question is a heartbreaking one, as the world would never truly know the depths of Hudson's untapped potential. Number 12. Public scrutiny and judgment. From the moment Rock Hudson stepped into the spotlight, his life was relentlessly scrutinized. He lived under the constant gaze of the public, who judged not just his on-screen performances, but his personal life, especially his sexuality. In an era where homosexuality was stigmatized, Hudson faced intense criticism and judgment that took a profound toll on his mental and emotional well-being. Could a man who had been adored by millions ever truly escape the harshness of public opinion? The pressure of hiding his truth and the relentless spotlight wore him down, leaving him feeling isolated and misunderstood. How could someone so beloved by the public face such a personal battle? What he endured is nothing short of tragic. Stay with us. This story is far from over. Number 13. Legacy of secrecy and silence. Rock Hudson's legacy is undeniably clouded by the secrecy he was forced to maintain throughout his life. His sexuality, a central aspect of his true identity, had to be hidden behind a carefully crafted public persona. But what was the real cost of this silence? Hudson's true contributions to Hollywood, the depth of his talent, his struggles, and the impact he could have made, were often overshadowed or ignored. Hollywood chose to honor him for what they wanted the public to see, rather than who he truly was. How much of Rock Hudson's real story is still missing from the narrative? The answer lies in the silence that haunted his entire career, leaving his legacy forever incomplete. Number 14. Unresolved trauma. Throughout his life, Rock Hudson faced trauma that would shape his identity and ultimately his fate. The emotional scars from hiding his sexuality, battling addiction, and suffering through public humiliation remained unresolved until the end. Despite his efforts, Hudson never fully came to terms with the pain he carried inside. What was the toll of these unresolved struggles on his health and well-being? The weight of his trauma was a constant, and it played a significant role in his untimely death. Could Rock Hudson have found peace if his truth had been acknowledged? The tragic reality is that his inner turmoil would never fully heal, and it left a lasting mark on his life and legacy. What if things had been different? The haunting question lingers. Number 15. Lost potential for advocacy. Rock Hudson was more than just a Hollywood heartthrob. He had the potential to be a powerful voice for LGBTQ+ rights and awareness, especially at a time when such advocacy was desperately needed. But what stopped him from becoming the trailblazer the world needed? The very struggles he faced, his battle with his sexuality, his fear of public backlash, and the oppressive climate of the era, kept him from using his platform to speak out. Could Hudson have shifted the course of history for LGBTQ+ rights if he had been free to live openly? The world will never know, as his silence, born from the fear of ruining his career and reputation, meant his potential as an advocate was never realized. What could have been if Hudson had the freedom to use his star power for change? It's a question that lingers unanswered. Rock Hudson's life was one of incredible highs and devastating lows, a tale of talent, secrecy, and missed opportunities. What could he have accomplished if the world had been ready to accept him for who he truly was? The unanswered questions surrounding his legacy continue to haunt Hollywood's golden age. If you've been captivated by the mystery of Rock Hudson's life, you won't want to miss what we uncover next. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us for more untold stories from the stars of old Hollywood. Your next deep dive into Hollywood's secrets is just a click away.